I think it says we are live. I think we're live. And if we are, then Trina, that means you and I are in the right place. So,
Yeah.
uh, so welcome everybody. I trust that you are well. Been a little, took yesterday off, had things I had to do, a lot of things. But anyway, this is a second look. And if you're here, then you're in the right place. This is where you were meant to be. And we certainly appreciate you. We speak favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. And we are prospering and be of service to others. Love is what is the key. But anyway, so my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix, how are you, my dear?
I am wonderful and grateful to be here with you all, and just
You are a bright ray of sunshine. There ain't no doubt about it.
as are
Yeah.
you, my friend.
Yes.
So
So
with a
what's the
little
shirt?
sparkly gold going through it.
There you go. I like that, and the shirt for the day, so I'll just let everyone, is be unique. As the cat in the hat always says, be unique. There's only one of you, and that makes you unique, doesn't it, though? There is only one of us.
Yes.
But it seems, Trina, that the individuality must have the collective in order to identify itself as the individuality.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, the collective soul forms the ability to go into a separate sleeve, a separate individualized membrane within the body. But yeah, we're within a bigger body. Yeah, soul concept.
Maybe it is like the Guardians of the Galaxy, we're actually living inside either the dead head of some ancient alien being that their size is galactic size, it's like, I don't know.
I've seen. I'm like, oh my gosh, that really could be a potential. But again, it's a potential, and all potentials are available within the potential field. So conundrum.
It is a conundrum. Hello, all the moderators. Much love to you all. We say hello, Lilith. How you doing, darling? Deborah, how are you? And Joyce, J Thing, what's up? Thing one and thing two are admittedly annoying companions. Yeah, well, that transfers over to the devil on this shoulder and the angel on that one. I used to have a joke that it was talked about the guy that walked into the bar and the bartender walked up to him and said, what can I do for you? And the bartender was looking at him because he said he had a blonde girl sitting on this side and this little weird dude that, was, and well, he just looked like he was a prick. And so the guy reached into his wallet and pulled out $100 bill. It was all that was in there. And he said, well, bartender, I'd like to buy myself a drink and everybody in the house. And the bartender said, well, that's very generous of you. And of course, the bartender came back and, and about 15 minutes later came up. The guy said he wanted to do it again. And in his wallet was just a $100 bill. So the bartender, as he went and poured the drinks, the little dude jumped off this guy's shoulder and kicked every one of the glasses over, ran back, got on the guy's shoulder, and the little blonde girl just sat there smiling. The bartender walked up and says, Mister, what the hell's going on here? He says, your money, but he says, I hate wasting good whiskey. And the guy says, well, he said, I'm a junk collector. And he said, the other day I found this lantern. And the bartender says, so let me get this. I bet. He says, there was a genie. He said, actually, there was. He says, and this genie appeared and said, you have 3 wishes. And the bartender says, so what did you wish for? He says, well, I've always been a moderate man. He says, never had a lot of money, but he said, so he said, I wished every time I looked in my wallet that there would be $100 bill. And he pulled out his wallet and there it was, just a single $100 bill. Bartender said, that made sense. He said, so what was your other wish? He said, well, I'm lonely. My wife died a long, long time ago. And he says, I desire companionship. And so I wished for a cute little blonde thing. And there she sits. And she sat there smiling. Bartender said, well, that makes perfect sense. So he says, what was your third wish? He says, well, that where I went over the line. The bartender said, excuse me? He says, yeah. He said, I asked for a certain length of a certain gland. And he says, there the little prick stands. So
Oh my goodness.
anyway,
Oh,
there's another part to that, but
be
due to the
careful what you
audience,
wish
but
for, right?
y'all got the picture.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Be
So
careful what you wish for.
be careful. Them genies, they are around, I mean, the
I think so, Wayne.
I'm a baby boomer. I grew up, watching Warner Brothers, and the cartoons were always, it was interesting because it was such a mix of, Eastern philosophy and beliefs. I mean, the genie comes from primarily the Far East,
Yeah, and I mean even Aladdin and the Disney show.
Aladdin, yeah.
And then, like when we were kids, I would see the devil and the angel on the shoulders of different cartoon characters.
Yep.
I always knew, I was like, oh wow, there's something to that. Even when I was little, I knew there was something to that.
It's odd, and they say that the cartoons of that era of the baby boomers, the eras back then was, very violent. And you think about Roadrunner and the Coyote.
Yes.
I mean,
wow.
the Coyote was always getting his ass kicked. But what people failed to understand was that, number one, Acme was the company you should invest in it. But the fact that the Coyote never gave up, that's what got me. He never gave up, So, yeah.
The cartoons and the violence and it's so different. And now these kids are watching like anime and Transformers and all the witchcraft stuff and the occult.
And here's the point, Trina, is that adults write those cartoons.
Yes.
I was a real big fan because I knew one of the animators, Jimmy Neutron.
I like Jimmy Neutron.
I did too. It was cutting edge. It was through true 3D cartoons, and I thought it was pretty well written too. I mean, anyway. But So how many else liked Jimmy Neutron?
I love it. And it's so interesting now when we look at The Simpsons and all these shows on TV now, they're predicting future events and all of this stuff. It shows you this is how they're winning the collective soul because they're programming the masses.
Speaking of The Simpsons, I read this article, and it had gone back from the very beginning of The Simpsons, which have been, I think, 30 years now or something like that. Yes. And they have found, and it's interesting, 10 different times that The Simpsons predicted the future.
Yeah.
The Simpsons, they predicted Trump winning.
Yes.
I don't know if you recently saw Homer. He was wearing a campaign button on side his coat, and when the coat opened, it said Ivanka 2028.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So,
I was wondering that, and that's interesting. Very interesting.
So someone said the same thing over and over again, expecting a difference. That was the Coyote's gig, playing the part of the lunatic. But Jay, the thing about it is, though, the lunatic was bright. I mean, and there is an alternate reality where actually the Coyote ate the damn Roadrunner.
Oh. Wow.
So, it's just this, that's kind of the theme, we're in an alternate reality and there's no going back. I had an experience this weekend that was just totally freaking bizarre. And I was telling Lynn about this yesterday. We had a lot of work to do. It's amazing when you're cleaning up, nearly 3 acres of land. It's holy crap, the list of chores. But anyway, I experienced something, and as I told her, I said, I don't know if this was a night vision or if it was just, splitting my consciousness. But for the briefest of time, I actually experienced a different reality than this one. Biden wasn't president. Neither was Trump. But it was tangible. And I told Lynn, I said, it's so strange because there are certain groups of people today that for them, nothing is different. It's the way it has always been for them. They don't see anything really different. Then there is this. You see, I contend we're living in different realities. There is a reality out there right now that is unfolding that for the vast majority of people, to them, that's not reality. It doesn't matter whether or not this is or isn't happening. For them, it's not there. And I told her, I said, it was strange because it really knocked me off my bearings in an aspect of, realizing as I looked around, we used to be amongst highly political groups, very influential. And it's strange because it was primarily connected very heavily into religion. I mean, in this case, Christianity. And this type of Christianity, people have no idea. When Trump sat in that office and there were all those evangelical pastors that stood around him, I knew every one of them, talked to every one of them, broken bread with every one of them. And what people don't realize is that is as much as a threat as how people are talking about SatanCon that's going on right now in Boston, because for some people, that's an alternate reality, that you're actually having a convention of Satanists that are coming together and acknowledging, this belief system. And for some, they're convinced that they are not in the reality that they're supposed to be in, because in their reality, that would never have been happen. It's weird.
I think this is because we are able to actually understand other people's perspective and perception of the reality. And that's because of the social media and the platforms where we're able to connect on a much broader capacity. Because of that, we can now see that people actually are living in different realities. And that is literally based upon the perception that they're holding in their mind. So when you're talking about, I think we're on the wrong timeline, and timelines we're moving on these timelines. I've been seeing that for years. So I don't think this is something that's abnormal. I think it's something that might be normal, but we've just never perceived it before. So your reality will reflect your internal reality. So a lot of people go through cataclysms. They go through all kinds of stuff, but they're not touched by it. They witness it. They know the world is, but it didn't directly impact their immediate surrounding reality perspective, God bubble. It didn't touch them. That's because of their perception of their environment, of their reality. They're creating their reality and creating the body based upon the subconscious. So the subconscious, which is connected to the oversoul, those are all producing what you see. And I think our true existence is happening ahead of what we're projecting. So it's happening already before. This is an afterthought of what was already done. So it's amazing when you can see the connections of how the energy comes down, but it's all about what's inside of you. So what you're thinking, perceiving, what you're looking at is going to be present in your reality. That's why it's very careful to put in your eyes. You have to shield your eyes from the outer reality if you don't want to become absorbed in it. I think that's why ISIS carries the blindfold. Justice has the blindfold, because they're not using their physical eyes. They're using their heart, and they're disconnecting from the external world to actually perceive the internal part of you that creates.
Then there is, and it's interesting. I did I guess it's been about 5 years ago, did the video on Project Aquarius and the looking glass. So the story goes that, and this was all came as a result with Bob Lazar and another individual that came forth. And here's what happened. At least this is what they're saying. And it's weird. So there was a device brought by non-terrestrials, and this device alters reality. It will show you the future. It's called the looking glass, and if you interface with it, it shows you just an unlimited potential futures.
Yes.
So according to the aliens that apparently met with Eisenhower and later with the Vatican, our time has been messed with. And they said that as the future continues to accelerate forward, that we as a planet, as a species, we're going to be impacted by this, because we're literally going to be impacted by multiple layers of reality on top of one another. And it's going to get very difficult for us to actually think our way through and out of this.
I think that's the singularity that they're speaking of. All these realities collapsing in on each other. I think
well,
that's
apparently
exactly
the aliens, the Galactic Council out there, they're worried about this, because what's happening here is sending waves out that is beginning to impact other species, non-terrestrial species, in their realities and their dimensions. Time is a dimension within itself. And if you send waves of distortion through that wave, then it's like, if you and I were standing on the beach, the waves are going to come in. And in this case, it alters our perception of time itself.
Yes.
Pretty weird.
I think it's all that's exactly how it is. But I do know there is a deep panic, deep panic. And it's because this light that's coming, this plasma sheath thing, this light that's coming, this might be part of what is collapsing the realities. And they're trying to mimic everything that happens organically through technology. And I think they've been able to control and manipulate timelines and collapsing and jumping through CERN. And I think they've had some accidents along the way. So with that, yes, we've got two different forces trying to manipulate and control time, dimension, light, and most of all, your thoughts.
I'm right there. I mean, we still don't know on the physics side of what CERN is really doing. I mean, all of us are aware that, Kali is the mascot, so to speak, the emblem of CERN, and Kali is that, the cycle of death and life.
Yes.
Weird that they put her out there. I mean, and I did a video, we talked about this before. They did a whole freaking ceremony dedicating to Kali.
And how do we measure time? Based upon life and death. So
that's the only way we do measure it, is exactly our lives.
So they're showing you we can play with time. And
then you have the D-Wave quantum computer that when they activated it, and as their foundie, Gory Rose said, he said it was as if we were kneeling before an alien god. And it's my contention, and I didn't say this, it was at one time on their website, they said it, that they brought something back into this realm from an alternate realm. And the God chip is what they call it. It's in its own container, its own temple, so to speak. And we don't know on a quantum level exactly what this thing is doing, but it's apparently affecting us out here.
I heard a story a while back. It was years back, and this is purely speculation. You can probably find information on it. I can't validate it. So just purely speculation of potentials. I heard about some of the substance that they were able to pull out of that machine was a black goo content. And it was told that it was stored under one of the major campuses on a college, a very prestigious campus college. And within a few hours of that substance being brought to that campus, there was an outbreak of completely erratical behavior with mental states. They had rapes, they had murders, they had chaos. It literally affected all the beings that were anywhere near this thing. So they had to quickly move it and take it into the undergrounds and put it in lead containment and stuff, because it was so dark. It was making people do incredibly horrible, crazy things.
Wow. And in that one, I mean, it's the, and if I'm right about this, in Mecca, with the giant cube that they walk around, that they have that where you can actually put your hand, and that, as I understand, when that thing came here, it had this substance, this black goo. It's weird. I mean, wow. I mean, and some say, tying this all together, the Chinese particularly, and I have no doubt it's with every major power as well, that the quest is the substance of the soul. I mean, they believe that if you can actually capture that substance of what we know, that 28 grams, that the body is less in weight at the moment of death, something lifts off of it. That is apparently the holy grail of everything.
Apparently it is. And they
I mean,
can't
if the soul is what it is, as you and I were talking about the client you had that could heal herself.
Yeah.
I mean, that it seemed to me, I think that's an activated soul.
I do too. Because she had done a lot of healing work prior, and she had tried a lot of different things. So she had a mindset, she had a language, she had a vocabulary. She understood how these things could potentially work. So to bring her to the place to activate it, I just think it was her day. Because when it's your day, it's your day. And what a gift for me to witness such a powerful manifestation of completely transforming her physical body from the inside out and repairing 7 incurable degenerative spinal diseases, which was weeks to months away from crippling her for the rest of her life. And then within 3 months, she was doing yoga again.
I were talking about how this body, I mean, in the healing crusades that I was a part of, I seen stuff that, and I don't believe it was in the name of Jesus that was doing the healing.
It's in this potential field, Wayne, the soul, collective soul. That's where it's coming from. And that's connected to the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is your direct line to source, God. That's
I mean, I remember seeing a skin cancer on this woman's face, and it was huge, and it fell off. I mean, it fell off, and the skin underneath was almost like baby's skin.
Yeah, brand new skin.
Yeah,
brand new skin.
Yep. Wow. I mean,
we do have these abilities, and that's what's going on. Is they're controlling the collective soul through the media, through all of the indoctrination, through all of these programs. So it's like everybody's trying to figure out how do we do this? How do we fix this? It's like it's the opposite of what we always are like instinctively drawn to do is to try to fix the problem with what we're already utilizing. That's never going to work. That's insanity. So the simple truth is as unbelievable and hard as this is to process of even how to begin, is you have to disconnect from the system, because then you can affect your own personal reality, and the system isn't producing your reality through your collective agreement, because we are in a collective agreement with our soul group, soul family, collective soul of earth. Every one of us are connected by an agreement of participating in this timeline.
Apparently we did sign up for that.
I think
That's what
so.
they keep telling us. I'm going,
I think so.
what the hell? I mean, come on, guys, give me the full disclosure, because there is a reality that is underfoot. I mean, there in this thing that rules our country, our world. There are powers that are fully engaged in bringing a different reality than everyone listening to you and I right now are prepared for.
They need to drive the ship.
And I often wonder, are they human or not? I mean, this blows me
No,
away. It's
I think that they have contracted with different soul construct, one reptilian and others off world. So they're human, but they have contracted with a being outside of this reality to come into their physical avatar, to operate in this dimension and influence this dimension through the use of their physical bodies.
Yeah, and I I keep reading. It's this interesting book. I was in my reading over the weekend. Was drawn back to this on this Mark Prophet's book. The Soulless Ones, and then the cloning of a counterfeit creation. And boy, that is, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so we're here, and I get that time moves and society adapts and change. That's just the way it is, and every generation sees it. But then you have those. It's like when the Nazis, the mindset that took over in a century ago, and it brought forth what the world saw in this world conflict. And it's got that same kind of feel, like we're almost being set up again.
Yeah, but in a very
Does that make
different
sense?
way. Yeah, but in a very different way. It's not out in the open this time. It's a slow process, and it's through getting toxified and getting toxic and breaking you down this way, and then potentially lack of nutrition and lack of food. So this is going to be a different way.
Well, if it's a lack of nutrition and lack of food, I mean, we're in deep doo-doo on that one. I mean, we know that there's something systematically happened. I think the latest count is 169, 168, somewhere about there. Food processing, food distribution have been interrupted. And, I have, like I said, I have a conversation, and I was kind of shocked at some of the cuts. So we don't talk politics here, because that gets you red flagged immediately. And besides that, I think that there's a way to combat that. I think esoterically that we can approach that. Wow, this is interesting. Trina, think of this. Before we saw the world split back a century ago, what was taking place at that time? I'll tell you what was taking place. It was the spiritualist movement.
Yes.
Leaps and bounds were being made where humans were, those people involved in that, we were actually touching the ethereal. We were actually being able to put our hand, metaphorically speaking, through that veil. And I mean, I look at that.
Think about it. It was the spirit. Spiritual, spirit, you all. That's because people came together and said, this is what's going to happen, period. And it happens. It really does. But like I
Yeah, I
said,
mean,
the majority are under the control of the rulers. They're believing the script that's being placed in front of them. So when you disconnect and you create, that's the greatest gift you could give to humanity at this time. It truly is.
I was just thinking
only
about Jane Dixon. You know, she came out of that movement. There were a lot of people that you could say it was on the mystical side of Christianity. There was a guy by the name of John Lake. And John Lake was involved with the spiritualist movement up in the Northwest, in Oregon particularly. And the interesting thing about John Lake is that he was a doctor. He was a medical doctor. And so when the bubonic plague broke out in Africa, he went aboard the hospital ships. And apparently, if you die of the bubonic plague, you have this bloody froth that comes out of you at that point. Well, that's full of that that plague. Yeah. And now this is interesting. He had been in what we would call seances and had obtained information. Anyway, his faith was built up to where he would go in and actually put that froth on his hand, and they would look at it after it had touched his body, and every one of the virus forms were dead.
Yes, he killed it within
Killed
contact.
it with his touch.
Because his frequency was so, he set his frequency to be the counter of the frequency. So he literally brought in, that held a positive charge. He brought in the negative charge. And when those two collided, it nullifies it. It makes it go 0 point. So he literally was transmuting physical matter with his vibrational field. And that's all it is. We think it's magic, but it's really not. It's tuning into a frequency and holding that vibration in the body and being able to emanate it out of your being. And your soul construct has all the information of all these frequencies, all these sounds, all these colors. It knows how to operate from that field. So when you start to work with your own personal field and collectively connecting to the collective consciousness, the oversoul, this is where you get to see the God stuff happening. Boom, boom, boom. It's just like,
I've seen it. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get into, I know I've been there. The thing about praying in tongues, and when you're praying in tongues with a group of people that are like-minded and focused, and we're talking going into hours sometime.
Yeah. Wow. Oh,
man,
wow.
you walk out of that and you you can walk on water. I mean, it's that powerful. I mean, I could literally put my hand out to someone and wow, I mean, there is this field.
Yeah, they could feel it. Oh, they can feel it. And they can see it when you walk. They can see the vibration, the presence. They can see it. And a lot of them, they don't know what it is. They just know they want some.
I've told you the story, and it's happened to me and it's happened to others, that, where this woman walked up to us and, she said, and that was back in the days when I was heavily into the ministry. And she said, would you pray for me? And it was like, well, why us? And she said, there was a light following you.
Yeah.
She said, I could see it. We were in Colorado and out at Park Meadows. And she said, there was a light following you. And she said, it would follow you into Macy's. And you came out. She said it was still there. You went into the Apple store and the light was following. And she said, that's what drew me to you.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there? I don't know. I mean, what is that? And I've heard that with other individuals.
I think it's you. It's part of you. It's part of you as a higher aspect of you. And that's the part of you.
Yeah, but for another person to see that, I mean,
they can. I do know people that can see those things. Yes, I have people in my family that can see those things. So, yeah. And a lot of people don't see them. They feel it. So they can't visually see it, but they feel it, but they don't know what it is. They just know they're supposed to go next to you or talk to you. They're just drawn. They don't know why or what, but they're just drawn to it. So people get it in different ways too. But yeah, I do know people who have seen the light.
Jerry says, I seen it at seminars at the 700 Club. We were founding members of the 700 Club. Got our name on the brick. Big, yeah. Usually with a lot of fasting. Now, there is some truth to the fasting thing. The more you fast, the more I think you get in tune to this flow of energy. And that's what I've come to realize. I think that we were inadvertently, through belief systems, religious belief systems, however you want to put it, I'm convinced of this, that there is this river of, you can call it energy, you can call it power, you can call it whatever it is, but if you plug into it, it has remarkable properties to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can say.
It's miraculous. It's really, truly, that's the only word we can properly use to define, because it can defy the laws of matter. It can defy all the laws of what you think is possible and real, and it can bend and break those. And you know, that is powerful. That is so powerful. But I've seen it. You've seen it. It's just real. So
it is real, at least for us. I mean, for some of us.
Yes. But like I said, it's because we've experienced it. We have it in our personal field of reality. It's in your personal reality bubble. So that's part of what you are as a being now, because you've experienced that. So you hold those frequencies and that awareness in your cells. It's in your cellular memory.
It's like me going into a bar, you know, and telling the person sitting at the bar, and I had the weirdest, allow me to digress. So we met someone this weekend, and I had this empathic, intuitive sense about this individual. And then when I shook her hand, it was weird, because it was like this freaking, and it was just milliseconds, but I could see that. Anyway, one of the things I told my wife, I said, she's lonely. I said, I felt it.
Yeah.
And she just, and Lynn's been around me long enough, and she said, you nailed it. And I told her a few other things, and she said, you nailed it. It's yeah. So anyway, it's there. It is. I mean,
it is.
You know, a like-minded group here, if we got together and focused in on this and said, all right, we believe that we can, as a group, combine our powers, our energies together into a simple focus of touching this ribbon, this way, this river. We're going to bring that back. We're going to literally bring it into the group. And listen, I've seen it done already. They call it church.
And it's already there. It's already there. We just got to tune into it. And that's like you said, man, the fastest way to get there is gratitude. Feel gratitude, joy,
gratitude, love. That attitude.
You activate that heart. You activate that force field inside of you. That's all that's needs, because as soon as you open up that magnetic field, your Laoish activates, which is the column of light. And you can connect to whatever you choose. So it's an interesting thing, because again, for the longest time, you know, we thought, and this is a way this is how it works, because it's like the knowledge of the occult and the mystery schools. That knowledge is out there, but the ones who actually receive it are very, very few. Yeah, because it's just not in their reality bubble.
Yeah, it never will be.
Well, because they're attached to the world, and that's, a lot of people run the risk of that when they come here. So it's a very common thing.
Attached to the world.
Yeah,
interesting phrase.
It is, and they're bound to it through those beliefs and that perception. So they will be recycled. And then there's a lot of, I believe, NPCs, soulless beings, as characters, helping to fill in the gaps in the matrix, and to help control the matrix, and to help oversee the matrix. So we've got a multitude of beings We've got hitchhikers. We've got entities from different realms and existences occupying human bodies with permission of the human. So we've got a lot of different stuff going on here. A lot.
It's interesting. So you were just talking about, so excuse me as I get that there. So here's the thing that I find is so interesting. See, there was a time, when I talked about these evangelical preachers and so-called men of God. It's interesting because, so what would you think if you were in a belief system that you, because you're anointed, that you deserve a jet? And furthermore, the people around you are going to give to you so that you can have a private jet, because you are on a mission from the Most High Being, and you don't have time to be amongst those who are actually making that happen. My whole point to this is there is this mindset out there, because I was a part of it. And I look back now, and I was out talking with the oak trees, and that suddenly it hit me that there really are vipers among the innocent.
And it shows you the power of controlling
a
collective. When you can get a group together and make them believe what you believe, it will manifest big time. And not only did he get one, he got multiple jet planes.
I know of a group
not even one. So yeah,
I know
did
of a
he
couple
not
of
only
preachers
manifest it, he manifested it over and over again.
Yeah,
right?
but it was the individuals. It's
Yes.
like one person told Lynn and I, she said when she left the religion, she said, I've given and sacrificially given. She says, when is it my time to receive?
Correct. It won't be unless you want to step up there and want to take from others. And that was what he was about. And all realistic, that's what he did. He took from other people's means and energy to fulfill his own desires.
It just pisses me off when I see this today, because these are people that are supposedly spiritual. These are individuals that supposedly are they've touched the ethereal of the supreme God. And I today I look back and I go, what the hell were we thinking? I mean, wait a minute. So God is going to give this person a $22 million jet.
Yeah.
And yet the poor woman that's giving, hoping to receive something, most likely on Social Security, is giving sacrificially, so that this individual who's apparently touching to God and has now become the mediator between the commoner and the supreme. And I'm going, oh man,
because he's saying he's telling them, I'm the only intermediate between you and God. So if you give to me, I will bless you with God's glory, because look what God does for me. That's the whole gig. It's like, if all these people would stop giving their money away and start investing in their own healing, in their own subconscious mind, in their own massage, in their own love of taking care of the absolute pure utter joy gift that you are a part of God, and you have it inside you. And as that, you are a powerful creator. And when you can love and connect to yourself, you can be an asset and a love, and you can help all the other people around you. And that builds true love, unity, and community. It's not one person sitting with the jet while the other ones are starving. It's balance.
Bingo. And I know Charlie and Terry, how are you doing? You'll appreciate this. So then you take it to the next extreme, because in every one of these organizations, they have security. And they're carrying guns. They're carrying, in some cases, full auto. And you think, now, whoa, wait a minute. So you believe in an all-powerful being that's now allowing you to fly around in your private jet, and now you have private security because you don't want anyone walking up to you and asking. And I don't know, it just jerked my chain because, I said,
wait till
did.
their chain's going to get jerked when they go out of their body and realize they were worshiping the wrong God. Wait till that happens.
John Price said, Wayne never bought me a private jet.
Right.
I gave enough money to where, damn it, I own at least a portion of that Citation 10. I mean, what the freak, It's like,
you're like, I own at least the back tail. That part is mine.
And then I thought about this, because the Satanists are having their convention and the Christians are going batshit crazy. They're going to have intercessor groups around it. But then I'm thinking to myself, I haven't seen any satanic leader that's flying a brand new, $23-25 million jet. I mean, so
Actually,
really
yeah, they probably own the company that makes the jet.
There you go. That's the way.
You got to go bigger, Wayne. I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, really. That's what I'm telling you. The trap and the trick.
What was it? The Saturday Night Split. Who was it? The guy that it was Billy Crystal, who used to play says, baseball's been very, very good for me. I'm thinking Jesus has been really, really good to me. I mean, I don't know. I just and that's a distortion of one reality over the other.
Yeah.
Because the thing that gets me, it's the common everyday person that's getting screwed.
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, this is nuts. But we call it normal.
Right, because we've been programmed for at least 6,000 years that this is normal.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
That's the truth. So but we're realizing now that maybe there's a different way to do this. And not everybody's going to join that. And that's okay, Wayne. But that's okay.
I agree.
Because it doesn't matter, because we will be making a new way for soul growth and evolution based on a different perception, not being currently molded by the programs that are flooding our consciousness, because we understand to go into the deeper part of self, which is heart.
And this is interesting. Heart. The secret history of the world. And it's really interesting in here when you read about the ministry of the Christos, and come to find out, as they said.
Interesting. Look what I just got. Gospel of Q. I was like, I got to read what that says. I got to figure that stuff out. I want to know. I want to know. Yeah.
And you read this and you go, okay. I wonder if there's a class of beings that this is what they do, is that they inject the thought of a reality and watch it literally play out through us.
They do. And that's the looking glass. They look at all 16 different potentials, but there's more than that, because we can choose a different choice and it affects the whole entire timeline. Remember I told you, sometimes the smallest things will produce the greatest change. Mm-hmm. It is so true. I mean, literally the smallest things can produce the greatest change. So yeah, they're looking at all the potential timelines that are running, and they're already showing up in the potential field because we've already created it. Okay. So then you're grabbing from the menu and pulling things into timelines. So this timeline's going here, this one's going there.
Going that way. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all manifesting. But what one are you on determines what's going on inside your consciousness. You will be pulled into that collective consciousness based on your perceived thoughts. That's why it's so important to control your thoughts. And if you're in a shit storm with your thoughts, man, just go cancel that shit and start feeling some gratitude. It's hard work. I know it's not easy, but you literally, this honestly is the strongest, most beneficial thing you could do for this world right now, is when you get bombarded with the world and the body's sensories are taken over, you tell this body, I'm in control now. You will sit down and you will be silent. And you go into the heart and you tell the monkey mind, I'm not talking to you right now. Shut up. Literally, you have no place in my reality because I don't like the train you're riding, and I'm jumping off. Jumping off. Yeah. Jump off.
I'm thinking Bob Dylan's song, The Monkey Man, and I'm going, oh shit. Right. Jargo, I love it. We don't need no stinking jets.
No.
Oh, it's messed up, man. I mean, it really is. This whole thing, and
But I think
tomorrow.
if we had jets, Wayne, jets are wonderful, but everybody should share them.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we
Because
develop the
everybody should be
technology
able,
for
yeah,
teleportation?
that's right. Everybody should be able to experience what they came here to experience. And we've been put under these slave systems because we're working for leaders and masters instead of working for each other.
Yeah,
If we worked for each other, it would all work out.
Yeah, it's I still hold hope for humanity that maybe there might be a remnant of us, or
There is. I can prove it. I'm here.
Yeah, there
I
you go.
have hope,
And
Wayne,
we
I
try to keep it
do.
upbeat here. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
won't give
shitstorm
up.
out there.
I won't give up. It's no matter what, I'm going to hold optimism because that's my job. I'm here to go against the doom and gloom. That's just, I'm here. That's what they told me my whole life. You're an antenna. You can hold the light. Many can't, but you can. They tell me the light that they send to me to anchor into this planet, most people would have a heart attack.
I can see that.
And it's like, it's cool. Bring it on. Bring it.
Yeah.
I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve the good. I don't care what it's called. I don't care what it looks like. As long as it makes people happy, feel good. I'm on that team.
Yoda says, I'll pass on the jets. Where's my ship?
Well, we could have those too. And could you imagine if everything was based on share programs?
Oh, it's like the homeless in the United States. There are we are, well, we've squandered our wealth, but we had, and I still believe we do, the ability that every person could have a home if they want one.
If they wouldn't have bailed out the banks in 2008, every single 18 or over registered person in the United States would have been able to afford and buy a home paid in full. Not a mansion, but a home.
Well, we should be able to take our birth certificate to any bank and say, here is, and it's, now I guess some people will say, well, what's the difference between, one size house and the other? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that birth certificate is worth the fact that you should have, at the very least, your own home. Yes. And tax-free, by the way, not property tax each year, because then all what happens is that, this is what gets me with property tax, is that you buy a vehicle, you pay it off, but guess what? You got to pay rent to the state that you live in to be able to drive it.
That's how you get the wisdom and understanding that in this system that you're participating in, you have no ownership rights. You're leasing.
So why even have ownership to begin with? I get that that's a socialistic mindset. I get that. And everyone who's attempted has always perverted it. It's never been done in the right way, because they want to seize the power. They want to control who gets what.
They've taken all the money out of our trusts and put it into their own personal private companies and bank accounts. Correct. And that is fraud. Yeah. And that was not how the trust was set up to be utilized. And then, through manipulation, because we were stupid enough and didn't claim it, then we don't have access to it. Now it belongs to the royalty. But that can all change. Like, it's serious.
And that gets in that whole thing, when you talk about the bloodlines. I mean, you look at this whole system here, it's messed up. And it always interferes with the higher aspects of what we should be doing to one another. I mean, if we can't love one another here, how are we going to love one another over there?
Right.
I mean, I asked the trees that, and they weep on this, because humanity hasn't figured out, if you can't love here, you're about to go into a place that you're not going to like, because, you think that there's going to be love over. Don't work that way.
You will be a vibrational match with what you are. So whatever you choose, you will be that. And what you spend your focus on, it will be a product of your reality, because that's what you're projecting in this reality, what's going on in the subconscious field. And the subconscious field is connected to the collective soul. So there's many aspects influencing that part of your consciousness. But ultimately, that part of your consciousness is projecting your body. and projecting everything around you. You are doing it. Nobody else
So,
but you.
and I need to hit on this, we've been reading that book, Ghostland. Ghostland is really about the fact that this is where you go when you haven't loved, when you don't know what love is, or your perception of love is by either material possessions, sexual conquest, and never understanding what the true nature of love is. How could you go into the realm and the ethereal when you're devoid of that? Or what if we've been taught wrong all the, and so, yeah, I could see why there would
We
be a
totally
place.
have been, and that's what you see in the Bible, because you look at the Yahweh God, and with the commandments and obedience and sacrifice and fighting over I'm the best, and you
Yeah.
shall no other gods before me.
And
then
a jealous and vengeful
and then
God
you look
at
at
that.
the New
Oh,
Testament.
shit.
And then the New Testament is more on the Jesus stuff, which is more of the divine feminine. It's more of love your brother as yourself. It's about compassionate. It's about healing each other. See, these are the two sides of the mind that we're dealing with. And you either choose to walk the path of brother and sister, and I'm going to love and compassion, and I'm going to do good works here. Or you can be self-serving and go for the jet planes and manipulate people and take all their savings and take their money and suffer the consequences of your choices, because you will be held accountable with you. Nobody else but you. It's going to be you looking at you. But most people don't even understand what they're doing when they're here. So that's a conundrum too. They truly don't even see. They don't know.
Emperor Rex, I agree. When you said that, I'm a love machine. I'm seeing Barry White up there.
Yeah.
I love me some Barry White, man.
Love is something we create.
Yeah.
It's not something you create. Love is something that's created. So you'll either be into your own taking care of you and want control and power and monetary and things and stuff to say, look at me, or you're going to be the one that's like, I'm good, I just want to be here to help you out, and I want to have a good time too. Cool.
Wow. And I'm going to write some more, because this thought, is that if you don't know how to love someone here, this is why everyone should have a dog. A dog will teach you love.
They are the best unconditional love.
Yeah,
I asked when I was a little girl, I asked the Lord, I says, if God could come here, because see, I knew that the Lord wasn't God. I knew that when I was little, because I would talk to him about God. I say, okay, so if God was here, what would God look like? And it was so funny. He laughed, and that he showed me two things. He showed me a baby's face, and then he showed me a dog. And then he showed me the word dog, and he flipped it around, and he showed me DOG is GOD. And I was like, oh, unconditional love. He said, yes. And I was a child. And those were the ways that he could show me in a simple terms for me to comprehend what the presence of his love looks like on this earth. It comes from an infant child and the love of a dog.
And then I think God looks like Barry White.
That's very possible. I think it can look like anything it wants to, Wayne.
I can see him up there, man, going,
yeah, a little sexy and feisty. He's like, I'm Barry today, baby.
You see, that laughter, folks, carries over to the other side. The spirits love people who laugh. They will come to you. They will hang out with you, because I got Barry White going on here.
That's right. Joy. Oh, joy.
And then we got a little Al Green, and yeah. Then we're going to bring a little Marvin Gaye in.
Would you get out of my head? I was just getting Marvin Gaye singing a little.
There you go.
Then a little sexual healing. We got
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then I have to top it off, because I thought George Michael probably had the best male voice of our generation.
Yeah.
Oh man, if he would have just hung around this group, the dude would still be doing music today,
Yeah.
Because this group, that's just how it is,
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. That hour, that's time travel, man.
You've got to be kidding me.
I'm not.
My, seriously? Wayne, that was fast.
We didn't even get to talk.
No, I felt like 15 minutes. We're just getting warmed up.
It's just like we didn't get to talk.
No.
It
went so fast. So fast.
I'm going to remember the
Guys,
whole Barry White thing, man. I just got to tell you.
absolutely. Wayne, like I said, we're creating a planet in our consciousness, and that will be a meeting place for us when we transfer
I
out of
believe
here.
it to
And
be
I know
true.
that this is going to be real. And right now in this reality, as the world is trying to collapse around us and create chaos around us, create order out of the chaos. And that's when you go in and you go still and you say, you know what? The world is doing what it's going to do, but I'm going to put my input to the potential field. And I'm going to
Love
be
it.
this. And I want to see this reflect in my mirror. And you produce your creation to battle the ones that are trying to produce theirs in darkness. So that's what we're here for. Shine, anchor your light, anchor the love, be calm in the storm because you can.
Exactly.
You can. Yeah.
Jesse Colin Young says, people, let your light shine.
That's
All
right.
right. So tomorrow I am with the panel in our
Yes.
continued discussion, because I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, we are talking about, you know, your soul, is it marked? And wow, we got some really interesting things on that. And
Yes, and it is an interesting topic. And I know, Wayne, I know that there's something to that.
there's something
You
to
know,
that.
and I know we've both been given that information. And I
And
got it when a demon slammed into my car window and left a cross right where my third eye was in my windshield, but it couldn't touch me, but it smashed my whole freaking windshield in. I was like, whoa.
and the son of a bitch didn't even pay for it.
No, but my insurance did, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, but seriously, I mean, I was like, wow, that was cray cray. And it was like, boom, it couldn't even touch me. It was like it hit a wall.
Oh, hey, Robert V. Good to see you.
So,
I love
we
this
got
group.
something going on.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Trina. See you
I
next
love
Tuesday.
I love you, Soul
love you too,
Tribe. I
darling.
love
And this
you
Soul
all.
Tribe. Y'all are just
Tons.
far out. That's all I can tell you. Just far out. You know. So thank you all. Thank you for the energy. Thank you for the
Yes.
love. And just pass it around and
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, I love sharing my bubbles of consciousness with you all because you guys
Mary
are
wins.
just amazing souls.
They are. Y'all are the best. That's why I know that, we will be meeting up on the other side.
I do too.
Wayne,
I was told that when I was a young kid and I didn't even know what that meant. They're like, one day there will be a planet and you will be named for it. That like there's part of it. I'm going to be part of the name of it. And it's weird but it's yours. You're the concept, and the concept was there with the purple planet before you, but it's all coming together now. I can see it. And other people are doing it too. It's
I
wild.
love that. And Chloe, I'll take one of those hot fudge sundaes as well. Just pass it
Yummy.
this way.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Do you do Rumble? You know what? Lost in Space. It's odd that you say that. Yes, I do have a channel. It's down there in the link. And, I've been really looking at the Steiger perspective and redoing those. Although, as I have been told, if you go back to Artists First, they're still in the archives, and people who have gone back. I have people who write me who are listening going, holy shit, man. I mean, I nailed it 5 years ago on the border.
Wayne,
I nailed it on the voter fraud. I mean, the whole bit.
What's so crazy? Gogo's been posting a lot of our older shows.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. And it's amazing. And I'm listening to our older stuff, and it is so profound because we were spot on. We were spot on back then.
And the reason why this show, we've been here for a number of years. I don't even know how long,
I know it's been a while. It's been quite a while. I think 5 years, 7. I don't know.
I think it's been at least 5 years. Yeah.
At least 5. It might be almost 7 that we just started. I don't know.
It's just a natural flow, Trina.
Yeah.
It's just that, and it does. It's no effort at all. Thank you. Ken Grady says he loves the Steiger perspective. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, like I said, Wayne, this consciousness that we're a big part of the potential that's on this planet. So thank you for being in my bubble of reality.
Well, thank you for being in my head. I love it. I love it, man. All right. All right, everyone. We love y'all. Thank you again. And just, love one another. Love yourselves. That's the important thing. I can't stress it enough. When you get on the other side and you materialize in your ethereal form, if you've learned to love yourself, that's your ticket. Yeah. You're going to be amongst others who have done the same thing. And then we form this collective force.
Yeah, self-love promotes love of all.
Yeah,
So when it's not a selfish love, when you can love yourself and know that yourself is part of everybody else, it's not a selfish love. It's a different kind of love, but that love truly, it can do anything.
Love y'all.
Love you.
Until we meet again.
Yes.